Welcome back to Race Space. It's episode 14, and it's a special episode of Race Space because we are coming to you live from a car. We are on our West Coast swing going from San Diego and now headed up to Northern California to get ready for the Sonoma weekend. I'm Chase Holden. I'm joined as always with Garrett Smithley, driver of the number 0 SS Greenlight BRK Racing Chevrolet. And again, we're in a car. Look,
I'm driver of the rental car right now.
He's driving the car. I am sitting in the passenger seat. I'm monitoring all of the technology as Garrett drives us to Northern California. En route to San Francisco, going to make a quick stop there. So shout out to all the NASCAR fans that are doing the swing as well, that are maybe in San Diego on their way up to Northern California now. If we see you, we see you. But it might be a little off-putting this week because we are in a car. And I thought we should call it a roadcast instead of a podcast.
We could do a roadcast. That sounds good. We are on Interstate 5, or as the West Coasters like to call it, the 5.
We're on the 5.
I don't know why they say that, but they do. So since we're on the West Coast, we'll call it the 5. En route to San Francisco. After a road trip with Brennan Poole, who was my teammate at JD Motorsports, we drove from Mount Rainier in Washington State all the way down to San Francisco, Sonoma area. And now I'm doing the opposite, going from San Diego up to San Francisco. So after this trip, I will have essentially driven the entire Pacific coast of the United States.
That's pretty intense. I've never driven the entire Pacific coast. I've never even driven out that farther west than Texas, honestly.
Really?
I don't see the point. I think you should just fly in an airplane. Like, I mean, why do that? Now, if I had like an RV, and it was like pre-planned, that's a lot of gas. I don't know if you've been out to the West Coast. We've been out on the West Coast for last week. Gas is like $6 a gallon over here, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that or not. I don't know if any of you knew that, but now you do. And I mean, when you start seeing gas prices hitting 6, diesels at like 8, I don't want to be anywhere near an RV. I don't want to be driving anything across the country, especially coming from the East Coast to the West Coast. So shout out to all the hauler drivers out there. I just got to give it to them because that is insanity. That's insane. Yep. And the fact that, you get 2 weeks, maybe you get a little bit of breather because you only have to go so far to stay on the West Coast. Still, very hard job, puts things into perspective. You want to talk about another really hard job. The fact that NASCAR set up an entire race at a naval base, and I know that millions of people have already talked about just how great of a job and can't thank the service members enough, and that's all important things, and you've heard that from everybody. But when you really take a step back and look big picture at that event and that track that we just left this weekend, Ben Kennedy and the boys and the girls are doing something on another level right now. And we've already got news that has been dropping this past week. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we've already got news coming out saying that they are looking to explore a return on 4th of July weekend in 2027.
Which that's what we talked about.
That's exactly
we talked
what we talked
about that this race, if it did happen again, should happen on 4th of July weekend next
Correct.
year. I think that would be electric, very patriotic. We saw the base race. It was the base race. We're talking about the base race on RACESPACE.
Base race, space race. Race space, space space.
It was so cool. It was so fun to be there. It was so cool to see all the service members there on Friday. Because it was a holiday on Friday, we couldn't sell tickets to the public. So everybody that was on the base were just service members, which was really cool opportunity for them. And then sellout crowd Saturday and Sunday. It was awesome. There was some logistics that, probably, could have been better. But again, for what they had to do and what they had to accomplish and for them to put this together in the space that they put it together, I think that they killed it. I think they did a great job. There's always room for improvement, but for what I saw, I thought it was a massive success. Kudos to Ben Kennedy and all the top brass at NASCAR that had the vision to do this. When I saw the news that we were going to do this, I was a bit skeptical, and I was like, oh man, like we're trying to do these campy things, and I didn't really know how I was going to go. And after experiencing it, they did a heck of a job, and I think it opens up the door for a lot of really, really cool venues moving forward.
No, I agree 100%. And you know, there's a lot of street course exploration that's happening right now, not just in NASCAR, but in IndyCar as well. So, I mean, as we continue to see all of these new developments going after these new markets flourish, you know, and we find them. I know Denver's been a hot topic on a lot of people's plate. Denver was big in the IndyCar space, too. I know they're doing the Washington, D.C. street race. But there's already talks about how do we go back. That's always the best sign, right? So, you know, if it wouldn't have been the biggest turnout and there wouldn't have been, you know, if it would have been more of a logistical nightmare, I don't really think it was that big of a logistical night where you had some people complaining about steps with legs and then you had people complaining about food running out. I get the food part 1,000%. However, you know, when it comes to the walking, I think for the fans, I think the biggest thing that I saw that was probably tough, not walking, not really food, but just the fact of how long the wait line was to get into the facility, like because of all the searching that they have to do. So again, the military are out there. They have to make sure that you're not bringing anything crazy onto the base. Plus, you have your normal NASCAR standards. I think that the biggest hurdle they can jump is figuring out how to speed that process up. I think food, walking, transpo, I think that takes care of itself if we do go back in 2027. But I wouldn't mind if they continue to dabble a little bit and go to different, you know, markets and spaces. But, you know, I get it. You know, this is there's not any other race series I know right now that has a active military base that they can go race on. So I feel like that should definitely stay. And if we get into more of the specifics of the weekend, I think a great place to start is just, what was your favorite part of San Diego in general? Like was there any one thing that you saw that you liked more than anything you've seen at any other type of race or event that we've done in the past?
Yeah, I love San Diego. I love the fact that we're back in Southern California. I think it's a really important market for us to go to. Of course, Fontana, not having that on the schedule for a number of years, that leaves a void. We went to LA Coliseum, did that with the Clash for a few years, but this event felt different. I love the city of San Diego. The weather was, I mean, absolutely the best that you could ask for, hands down. I love just the aesthetics of racing on the military base, having the aircraft carrier in the background, having these planes. Of course, we all know that I'm a big plane fan, and it was really cool to see all these military planes. They had a V2 Osprey sitting there. Anduril had some really, really cool displays, and I think just seeing all of like our military and what keeps us safe on display while we're ripping around this course, I think that was really cool.
Especially the missile drones. You can't rule out missile drones, dude. The fact that Anduril did this race, for one, we all know Anduril is definitely their defense company, and they make big, gaunty, futuristic weapons with AI integrations. It can be taken and perceived in a lot of different ways, but it's still badass at the end of the day, if we're being honest. Like the William Byron drone that was sitting out there.
William Byron sponsored drone, number 24 Hendrick Motorsports Cup Series on the drone. I mean, this guy that owns Anduril, he's basically like Tony Stark.
Palmer Luckey, is Tony Stark. Like, Palmer Luckey grew up watching Iron Man. He made $1 billion selling a virtual reality headset, and then decided to start a defense company where he makes more billions of dollars. And he wears Tommy Bahama shirts, cargo shorts, and he's got like this wild looking chin beard. This is Tony Stark on display.
It's the American dream.
It is. So we've got Tony Stark in NASCAR now. Tony Stark is sponsoring NASCAR races, so shout out to him. And then I love the colorway. I love everything that they had involved with the whole Anduril car, William Byron. Plus they did give away a car. They're giving away a car. So it's a Gen 6 number 24 Anduril wrapped NASCAR stock car. And then they're also giving away a Chevy Silverado that's like decked out, where it's like there's like the bar doors. It's not like an actual door. It's like Jeep doors on a Chevy Silverado.
Oh, is it
like,
a cage? There's a cage.
Yeah,
on?
like cage,
Nice.
like roll cage doors.
Love that.
Like like I'm not gonna lie. Like I would have taken the truck over the stock car any day of the week. The truck was about. You want to have that if the world ends. Like when AI comes to take over everything, you want that truck, and that's why they had it there. Because Palmer knows. Palmer works for the AI. He knows. So he's like, let's just give these fans the best way to escape the AI apocalypse: a stock car and a full-blown, just, I don't know, Terminator era style truck that you could give away to the fans. So shout out to Anduril for doing the most there. So you just loved the air fair.
I loved everything that had to do with any of the military stuff. I'm really disappointed that we didn't get to go on to the aircraft carrier. The USS Midway is there as a static carrier, and I've been there. I've done the museum. That's really, really cool. I really wanted to go to, it's the Carl, I should know this. It's like the Carl.
You should know this because I don't.
It's like it's the Carl V character. I don't know what the V is, but it's the Carl V carrier.
Not Carl's Jr.
It's an active aircraft carrier.
Okay.
I mean, it's active. And the crane tracks. Easy for me to say. The crane tracks that our guys in the trucks, O'Reilly, the Cup guys that had to go over the crane tracks, those are like the cranes that load the aircraft carrier, and that was really cool to see. It was really cool to see.
I'll say my favorite part of the weekend was, for one, the weather. Fantastic. Okay, I love all of the show that was put on, but honestly, you know, and we're not sponsored by McDonald's, but they had this McDonald's that was like right there on base. And I mean, you want to talk about convenience to food. We go to a lot of races, Garrett, and you know, we eat a lot of catered food. The catered food is fantastic. We eat it all the time. But there's something that hits a little bit harder when you have like a full-blown McDonald's that's not far from you at all times. And then you go there and you're in the parking lot, and here's Noah Gragson doing a wheelie on a baby bike.
Yep.
And then we also found out that Noah Gragson has baby feet. He has baby shoes. He wears a size 6. That is news. Ask Noah about size 6 shoes. We found that out this weekend. That blew my brain. But yeah, Noah Gragson in McDonald's parking lots and just hanging out with the boys. That was like Thursday for us.
That was Thursday. We went to McDonald's. I hate to admit this, but we went to McDonald's probably, 4 times while we were on the base?
Definitely 4 times. Because how many times do you get a real McDonald's at the racetrack?
Well, it saved us because, you know, we have the nice catered food, but when we were showing up to the racetrack, we were getting there at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And we weren't going to have any food for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And of course, when we fly in to the West Coast, we're still in East Coast time. So our bodies are like, hey, it's time for lunch. It's time to eat. And so we took that walk to McDonald's, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. The first time we went, we had to kind of figure it out. We had to kind of hop through a fence, and it worked out. Not a fence that went to the racetrack. I want to make that clear. We did not hop a fence to the racetrack.
No, there was a guy that did that.
There was a guy that did that. Unfortunate for him, that was not a good decision.
Yeah.
But McDonald's saved us. It was cool. I will say that I got my bearings on the base a lot easier than I expected. I expected to kind of be lost, but for what it was, I mean, it was pretty easy to get in and out.
Yeah.
A lot of walking, but that's to be expected.
Right. You're on a base. You have to race on the base as well. You have to use your legs. So I'll say that out of if we're grading this out of 10, I give this event a 9 out of 10. I will say I give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's great. We should return. The racing itself, chaotic, wild, new strategy to figure out. We'll start with the O'Reilly series like we typically do. Pure heartbreak for us on the Zero team this week. We had Alex LeBabe, shout out Alex LeBabe, aka Alex LeBubu, was in the Zero car this weekend. For those of you that don't know who Alex LeBabe is, he is one of the Canadian son of road course racing, as we like to call him. Man specializes in road courses. He's done a lot of different racing in a lot of different types of series. Road coursing is this man's world, okay? So he comes down here. We're up into, I'll save a lot of the details, but we had a good race. We were just trying to figure out the strategy, trying to figure out, fuel, because of all the cautions, the red flags, the things that we had that we will discuss that went on in this race, all led to a caution and a restart where unfortunately our engine gave on us, and it just was a really tough way to end the day, especially when you're running inside of the top 10. You're P9 on a restart. You're feeling really good about your chances to get a top 5. We would have easily gotten a top 5. I feel like Alex's pace was phenomenal. We just couldn't close the gap because of that one issue. And Garrett was up on the box with me pretty much the entire race. So we were just kind of, we were all in on our zero car, locked in, and we're excited that we get one more go at it with Alex in the car this weekend in Sonoma. I still think that we could really turn a corner here, but for the most part, there's not much to be upset about with Alex's run. I think he proved the type of driver that he is on this track. Starting where he started, we qualified well. We showed up to qualifying. Both Josh Bilicki and our boy Alex LeBabe.
Yeah.
Fantastic qualifying results for SS Greenlight this weekend, so can't complain there. But it's just one of those deals. It's one of those deals, and we're still figuring out kind of exactly what happened with the engine. But when we went back, though, and I don't know if you have anything you want to input about our run specifically on the zero car or not before we get into the actual race.
Yeah, I think just the fact that Alex is just so solid. For him to come into this series and run part-time, he's only doing, I think like maybe less than 10 races this year, 5 with us. He's made a few starts with DGM this year on some of the oval stuff. And for him to jump in and just be fast right off the bat, he is such a solid driver. He's an OBS guy. He's on the radio just making sure that we have everything we need. He's pretty animated on the radio, which I kind of like. I like the passion. I like the fierce competitiveness. We had a little bit of an issue off the truck with a wheel wobble that we're still trying to figure out what all that's about. But after that, we made some really good changes and a few things that we did to the suspension that really helped him get some speed out. And for him to go qualify 12th in an ultra competitive field, and then really just have top 10 speed all day long. Like you said, probably had a shot at a top 5 for sure, was going to finish top 10. We had the strategy to do that there. I don't think that we really could handle like the top 3 guys. Once Brent Cruz got wrecked and Sam Mayer, some of those guys, there was like Austin Hill and Taylor Gray and Carson Quapple showed up. He was really fast. Parker Retzlaff was unbelievable this week. I don't think we really had anything for those guys, but we definitely had a shot to finish top 5. Definitely heartbreaking, but wasn't for the lack of trying from Alex, and he didn't put a wheel out of place, and I'm super excited for him to get another chance this week at Sonoma. I think that we had a little bit of damage from that big crash going off into turn 2. And I think our guys are fixing it as we speak. They're in Sonoma at the racetrack, rewrapping the car, doing some body fixing, and I think we're going to be able to run that same car next week at Sonoma. So excited to have him back, and again, not for lack of trying, but we definitely were there for sure.
So we get into this race. The O'Reilly race was probably the most chaotic race of the weekend out of trucks. Trucks was wild, don't get me wrong, but as far as like the on-track drama, the on-track chaos was O'Reilly. O'Reilly brought that. It started out, the day started strong. We all knew after watching the truck race, okay, this is going to be a long race. We're looking at, almost, I believe it's like 2-minute lap times under green flag conditions. You double that for cautions, you're looking at about 4 minutes per caution lap. This is a very big track. So whenever that caution flag comes out, you're like, oh, it's like, because what's coming. It's just sitting there waiting. When the red flag comes out, that's an even different story. So this race started out under some wild conditions. NASCAR did their part to go around the track, make sure all of the manholes were welded, shut down. That's a very typical thing you want to do at a street course. We've seen what can happen with these cars at these high speeds. Enough pressure gets built up over it. You get manhole covers flopping and flying around, shooting into the radiators of cars. And that is exactly what happened to Corey Day. Corey Day has been on a 2-week stint now of just carnage on lap 1. He gets completely destroyed at Pocono just because he wasn't able to hang a turn. And then, not his fault, but a manhole cover pops up out the ground, smashes directly into his radiator. So not even one lap through the race, he's having to come down pit road and they're having to fix up
in a backup car nonetheless, because he had issues in practice. So he had probably the toughest weekend of anybody, just start to finish. And it was kind of unprecedented what happened. NASCAR saw that and said, this is not your fault. They were able to fix that car. They gave him all his laps back. They let him basically fix it under red flag conditions.
Yeah.
And then we kind of did pace laps until he drove around the course 4 times to get his 4 laps back. Rallied to a top 10 finish. Yeah. I mean, if that's not perseverance, I don't know what is.
But does that happen if NASCAR doesn't give him the laps back? That's what we have to look at now. So this was a big story, Garrett, over the weekend. I know that we've talked about it briefly, but this was not something that NASCAR typically would do. NASCAR typically was not known. I think a lot of people were making comparisons to something that happened to Jeff Gordon years ago. Mm-hmm. I saw where I think Jeff Gluck had made a comment or a tweet online where he said, it's so funny after all these years when I mentioned this that happened to Jeff Gordon, they were like, oh no, NASCAR. They all looked at him like he was crazy. Like, why would NASCAR do that? NASCAR's not going to give you their laps back just because something like this happened. So this is a turning of the tide. NASCAR showing us like, okay, if something's on us, we're going to do the right thing at this point, and we're going to give the laps back. Now, will this be a new precedent that's set? Have yet to see for that.
It's going to be a balls and strikes call, unfortunately. It's one of those things, one of those situations that you don't really plan for. You don't plan for something to happen to the track. I know we've seen it before. We saw Jamie McMurray have this issue at Dover. Some of the track was coming up at Dover, and he ended up crashing in the Cup Series years ago. Since Jeff Gordon was on the wrong side of that, this was a Hendrick car. This was Corey Day driving a Hendrick car. Of course, we know Jeff Gordon has a financial stake in Hendrick Motorsports and one of the guys that are running the team with Rick. Maybe this was NASCAR saying, hey, Jeff, we didn't have you back then, but we got you now.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was.
All I know is that I don't know how many tracks something like this can actually happen at, which is the good thing, right? Like, this is kind of a rare occasion type of thing that would happen, but I think it's safe to say you can bet your ass that if a situation like this ever occurs and a driver of whatever team, wherever, doesn't get their laps back, this will be brought up in conversation.
100%. Every darn one of those crew chiefs and car owners have taken note, and this is going to be the standard and the benchmark for when stuff like this happens. It opens up the door for if there's oil on track and NASCAR doesn't see it and somebody crashes, do you get to go and fix your car?
Oh.
What if it rains and you wreck in the rain? I mean, we saw it happen to Kyle Busch back in New Hampshire a few years ago.
See,
what happens there?
I feel like they could easily just be like, no, like, not that. But like something like the manhole cover, especially when they like made sure they dotted the I's and crossed the T's, like that's something that you do have to be held accountable for, right? But like, I think rain or typical oil like coming from a car, that's something that happened by happenstance of competition. So I think that that's acceptable. I feel like, you shouldn't get laps back for things like that because those things happen. But in this case, I do think they did the right thing.
It opens up a can of worms, and would love to know what you guys think. Leave your comments below.
Very much so. As we continued, though, the race got back green. We did have a good little stint of green flag laps. Everybody was able to kind of keep it together. And then, after I think it was stage 2, we had a big red flag because Sam Mayer just sent it into the wall. There was a pile up that had happened. Sam Mayer just I think he got a little out of his depth on a turn, ended up putting it into the wall, took out Anthony Alfredo was one of those involved. There was about 9 cars involved.
Yeah, Brent Cruz was in. Yeah. He was my pick.
A lot of the leaders.
It looked like it was his race to lose. He qualified on the pole. He was really fast. Took out a lot of really, really good cars in this. And, I mean, there was probably 7 or 8 cars, maybe more, that got damaged from it. I know our car was one of those. Preston Pardis is one of those independent teams that was really fast, and a road course ringer that kind of got into it there. And, it was pretty crazy. The whole wall moved. There was a giant red flag probably for about 40, 45 minutes. It was pretty spectacular. Super glad, super fortunate that everybody got out of those cars and was okay.
The biggest thing that happened during that red flag was a fan actually jumped the fence, hopped the fence, went to talk to Sheldon Creed under the red flag. Sheldon Creed is like trying to make this man go away. He's like, I don't know you. You're not my friend, stranger danger. He's pushing him away. And then the man climbs the fence back and goes back to, and I mean, this is 2 fences he climbed, by the way. You have like your standard fence, then you have another fence that gets you onto the track.
The catch fence.
Yeah, he climbed 2 of those and then tried to run away. And he also did that in thongs, flip-flops. So that's impressive. It's very impressive to be able to climb 2 fences. A lot of people were speculating that man was inebriated. Possibly. However, I don't think he was that inebriated, because in order to climb 2 fences with flip-flops on, that takes a lot of skill, a lot of muscle in the toes to keep those on your feet to get where you need to go. And he kept those on his feet the entire time. I don't think an inebriated man could do that. Nonetheless, dude's probably looking at 6 months in jail, because if you are to trespass or break laws on a active government military base, apparently it is in the law where that is a minimum 6 months in prison. So hopefully they're able to work around that. But what a crazy law that we have there.
Whatever it was, whatever the reason he did it, it was a very stupid decision. I would highly recommend for nobody ever to do this ever in the history of NASCAR. I know we've seen it before. We saw somebody at Richmond do it. He's got a life ban from NASCAR. We saw somebody at Watkins Glen do it. We actually saw somebody at Watkins Glen run across the active racetrack at the Long Pond Straightaway.
I thought that was Pocono.
Did I say Watkins Glen?
Yeah.
That was Pocono. Yes, that was Pocono. We saw somebody try to get an autograph with Matt Kenseth at Watkins Glen.
I saw the comparisons to that one online.
I cannot tell you how dumb an idea that is, and that guy will never be invited back to NASCAR. He will never be allowed back to NASCAR ever, and he's, like you said, probably facing jail time, so don't do that. Regardless of the reason, I don't care how drunk you are, I don't care what state of mind. It might have been a dare. It might have been he lost fantasy football and that was what he had to do.
Still a grown man, still can make choices and decisions.
Well, it wasn't a good one.
Yeah, you're still a grown man and can make choices and decisions. He made his decision. He made his choice. Maybe now he'll change his name. He'll have to change his home residence address. He'll be able to buy a NASCAR ticket after that. And, who knows? Maybe he'll be a Grand Marshal one day. But he has to change his name. And he has to change, basically, he might have to get facial reconstructive surgery, but...
Maybe some community service.
Yeah, a little bit of that with the facial reconstructive surgery.
Sure.
I would highly advise that. That way you don't have to give up your NASCAR, but just lay low maybe, and definitely don't hop fences at an active military base. So once that was cleared up and that was over with, that's where we get towards the end of the race, and it was pretty action-packed. I think it was Carson Quapple was up there. He ended up getting turned. I want to say it was by Sammy Smith? Was Sammy Smith around?
No, it was Taylor Gray.
It was Taylor Gray. That's right. It was Toyota.
Taylor Gray talked about being in that situation, and spinning Carson out, which Carson did a phenomenal job recovering, because I think he still finished top 5 or definitely top 10.
Yeah.
Something is happening to our car.
Oh no.
I have lost throttle. I'm full throttle right now. Something is happening to our rental car. We're still digging. We're going 70 miles an hour.
Something was turned off.
Something, yeah. Something's going on. We've got some lights on the dash.
Is this this thing?
Is it? No. It's not overheating.
Oh.
It's definitely not overheating. It's something with the throttle body.
I don't know.
But we are now wide open and going 76 miles an hour.
Maybe it's like one of those deals where it's like, hey, I'm going to keep up with the pace of the car for you. Or electronics. Maybe there was an electronics button that was pressed.
It could be. This is happening live, folks. So we're
doing this. We're not cutting this out of the show. You're along for the ride with us. You're along for the journey. I know it looks like we're out of water.
The engine light is on.
Oh wow.
So that's something.
Oh, wow.
This is 34,000 miles that this car has been, and I don't know. Hopefully, we make it to San Francisco.
I hope we make it to San Fran.
We're gonna have to find the rental car place and maybe get a trade. Maybe get a credit, but we're gonna keep trucking.
We're gonna see what happens.
What was your question? I'm sorry.
So there was no question. This was a moment we had to take a second to observe and just make sure everything was good. But talking a little bit more about towards the end of that race, we were basically just saying how it was kind of dicey. Ultimately, Austin Hill takes the win. The only driver that got to do Cup and O'Reilly this weekend, because the provision that he has, obviously with the passing of Kyle Busch, it makes sense. And, he got to do donuts around the 8 that they had there on the track, which was incredible. So it was just really good to see Austin Hill win for those reasons. I know a lot of people have a lot of things to say about Austin Hill. I have something to say about Austin Hill when we get to the Cup race. We can talk about that. Yeah. I feel like he did something. I feel like some drivers may say he made the ultimate sacrifice out there on the track in the Cup Series. But I will say that the O'Reilly race overall, it was wildly chaotic. And now that if we do go back, I feel like we're going to see a very different product when we do return to Coronado, if that does happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for me the coolest thing was to watch all these drivers adapt and figure this track out. It was really difficult. These guys were getting air into turn number 2 and going down that hill, and seeing some of the pictures from the O'Reilly race, the Cup race, the trucks. Every single one of those guys were getting air, and it was really cool to see. We talked a little bit about some of the end to the O'Reilly race. I know, Carson got spun, kind of let the 21 back into with the 54. Parker Retzlaff was up there. He ended up running out of fuel. If he doesn't run out of fuel, I think he has a shot to actually win that race. He legitimately led laps, was really, really fast. Both Viking cars were actually pretty lights out with Anthony Alfredo. Unfortunately, he got tore up in that big crash. Sheldon Creed was fast. I know that was one of the guys we talked about going into this race that was going to be quick. Just the guys put on a really good show.
Yeah. Going from Saturday, though, we'll go back in time a little bit. We'll go back to Friday. I know Friday you were invited to do some golfing. So you went to hit up the Torrey Pines.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of forgot.
Yeah, you went to Torrey Pines on Friday.
Yeah.
So during the truck race, I hung back. I did a little bit of work because we had practice on Friday. So I was trying to make sure that, we were crossing the T's, dotting the I's, getting ready for Saturday, try to have the best race that we could. And I wanted to let you talk a little bit about the Torrey Pines.
Yeah.
About going to this amazing golf course that the pros play at.
Yep.
And what did you end up shooting at Torrey Pines, Garrett?
Yeah, I was fortunate that I have a sponsor that has a friend that lives over by Torrey Pines, so we got to go on. We had a tee time. Only got to play 9 holes, but it was well worth it. Shot my career best 9-hole score of 41, and that is a legitimate 41. No mulligans, no pickups, no nothing. Just a legitimate 41. Only one double bogey on the card, and the rest were pars and bogeys. Didn't end up getting a birdie. I had some really, really close putts. I was very close to shooting probably 38 or 39 if some of those putts had fallen, but wow, first of all, what a course. Second of all, I've been playing out of my mind the last 2 times that I've golfed. I golfed the day after I got engaged, and then on Friday. So I ended up watching the last 3 laps of the truck race. Fortunately, we were done, so I got to watch the very end of the truck race. You stayed at the track for the truck race?
No, I did not stay at the track. I was at the hotel.
Okay.
But, I will say that, just quickly, that if you just watch the last few laps of the truck race, you kind of watch the truck race.
Okay.
I will say that.
That's good to know. I mean, I obviously, a lot of stuff transpired in that truck race and a lot of craziness, but we got to hear NAS trucks back to back in a Victory Lane interview once again.
And I have to say, shout out Lane Riggs, not just because you won the truck race, not just because you gave yourself the nickname Lane Van Gisbergen, which was incredible, by the way. Is
that a play on Shane Van Gisbergen?
Yes, it is. Yes,
that's awesome.
This guy is fucking phenomenal. Pardon my French.
Bleep.
But yes, that
Swear
was
jar.
bleep, 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 bleep. I got to meet Lane this weekend for the first time in person.
First time
in person.
Lane's
got to
great.
meet Lane, and we shook hands, and he was just a stand-up guy. Had great things to say. For him, I told him I was very proud that he's carrying the legacy of NAS trucks into these post-race interviews, because more people need to know. We call it NAS trucks, and that's what it should be called on a regular basis everywhere. I understand it's the Craftsman Truck Series. I get it. It's NAS trucks. We're gonna leave it there. So he is a great wordsmith, and he's kind of a rapper. Kind of spits it. Might be like he's like a freestyler. He's a good freestyle rapper if he was a truck driver. We'll put it that way. He's a truck lord for sure. But it was really like the most eventful things of this race to me, other than all the cautions that we had. Parker Klegerman with Henderson Motorsports finishes. I don't know where he finished, but I do know that he scored a Stage 2 victory. So he did get points, even though he's not full-time.
Right.
He finished first, Stage 2. Shout out to Parker. After the race, Lane wins. Taylor Reif in the 42 Nice. It was like his 9th truck race, I believe.
Tyler Reif.
Tyler Reif.
Yep.
Sorry, not Taylor. Tyler. That's a cool story right there. That's a kid that's just trying to make it in trucks. He's pushing through. And he would have had it, but Lane just juke-stepped him right there at the end. And when you're young and you're new, you might not know what to look out for. But I will say that he did great, followed it up. There was a lot of carnage. There was a lot of these guys we thought were favorites. They ended up wrecking out. It was a tough track. So you really didn't know what was going to transpire, but Lane coming through was huge. And then at the end of that race, we were blessed with some post-race drama. We had Parker Klegerman and Adam Andretti, I believe.
Yeah.
Adam Andretti and Parker Klegerman get into a little shouting match at the end. Adam Andretti basically shows that he doesn't really know how to respond to confrontation. He has one of those moments where he was like the high school bully. He was like taking the lunch money. He was like the I don't even know what
I don't know what it was.
It was fantastic though, because like it was one of those moments where you're definitely laughing at him, not with him, and he gave us that. So I do have to say thanks to Adam Andretti for kind of like making a meme of yourself.
Kind of reminded me of the people like on episode 1 of Pluribus, where they they're just like
they're like shaking and stuff.
Yeah, he kind of did that, but he was like kind of mocking Parker. I don't know the whole story and what transpired.
Parker didn't sound like that.
No, Parker didn't. Parker was trying to have a conversation with him.
Parker was frustrated.
And Parker was frustrated, and Adam didn't take it well, I guess. And it was really weird. It was really odd.
It was a strange one.
It was a strange one, And it's unfortunate because I actually talked to Parker on Saturday before the O'Reilly race, and he was like, man, you know, I felt like that looking at everybody who finished where they finished, he could have had a shot to win. Obviously, he won the second stage. I didn't get to see it, but obviously he was fast. I knew he was going to be fast. He's an incredible road course racer, and they do a really nice job on that Henderson truck.
Yeah.
And and it was just disappointing to see. It was cool for me also to see Jimmy Jam lead some laps. He literally was like legitimately a top 5 truck most of the day. Led some laps. Unfortunately, didn't get the finish that he deserved. Got caught up in some crashes, caught up in some other stuff. But really cool to see him be competitive in the truck series. Yeah,
and there was just a star-studded group. Again, it was just a lot of those guys, man, just trying to hang on to those tires, dude. That was the story of the weekend. How good can you hang on to the tires? Can you hold the tires? If you can hold the tires, you're going to be fine. If you can't, it's going to be a tough time. And we saw a lot of those guys that were just coming in have those tough times in multiple areas of the track. But truck race, Lane Riggs continues doing what he's doing. Moving on to Cup. First-time winner in NASCAR, Corey Heim. First-time Cup win at a first-time event. Corey Heim. Captain Corey, as they're calling him now. Corey Heim wins this race in a thriller. Obviously, everybody and their mom was like, SVG is going to win this thing. He probably would have, but was taken out during this race in Stage 2. We'll talk all about it. Starting off on Cup Sunday, a lot of stars. The stars were out. You had Patrick Mahomes. He was there hanging out with Kyle Larson. So was Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, for all of the ladies out there that don't know who Travis Kelce is. Aside from that, you had Kay Adams with FanDuel. She used to be on NFL Network, Good Morning Football. Carson Hocevar, I think, is trying to go on a date with her now.
Okay.
I think that's happening. So Carson Hocevar out for the Cougars. And then you have, who else was there? We had Pete Hegseth, which was the Department of War.
Secretary of War, yeah.
Secretary of War. He was there. Good person to have. You're obviously the Anduril 250. There's defense weapons there. Department of War. Makes sense. There was chatter about Trump potentially being there, but that did not come to fruition. So we all learned, nobody really knows when Donald Trump's going to show up somewhere. He's either going to show up or he's not. You just don't know. But there was some chatter about that during the week. We do know he'll be at the Freedom 250 for IndyCar. He'll definitely be there. He was there at the White House. He might be at a point now where he's like, I'm not going anywhere anymore. If you want to see me,
just bring the event to the house.
Bring your event to the White House.
Yeah,
you know,
that's it.
Maybe that's the America we live in now.
Beast Mode was there.
Yeah,
yet again.
Marshawn Lynch, Palmer Luckey, Iron Man. He was there.
Yep.
So you had
Jesse Palmer, who hosts The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
Oh.
He was there on Saturday. With Ryan Ellis.
Drew Brees was there on
Saturday.
Drew
Brees was there.
Nobody gave me the memo. Nobody told me.
Yeah, that's on me. That
hurt my heart.
I'll take that. I know.
That's my GOAT. That's my Super Bowl champion.
I know. I apologize. That's like if Hines Ward or Troy Polamalu was there and you didn't tell me. So
and I just gave you like a bottle of Head and Shoulders, and I was like, here, like just remember Troy.
Yeah, just remember Troy.
Remember the good times. But no. So they did great with activation. I mean, sold out of merch, everything. By Sunday, everything was almost sold out essentially. So you just got there, you had the race, awesome flyover. You could see it on all of the guys' faces, and I mean, everybody was in really good spirits all weekend. This race gets started though, and it's so funny, like, because Hocevar qualified second. He gets out in front of SVG. SVG's like, all right, I'll let you lead some laps, because SVG's trying to figure out his tire strategy, trying to figure out how to manage everything. Carson gets out front. He can't hang on. SVG gets back around him. SVG's just kind of leading the pace through the first couple of stages. Had a couple of drivers have some issues. Some tires went down, things like that. But the race really got started, I would say. You know, there was a lot of like good action in the front, but it was all SVG. So by the time that we got to, through stage one and we get ready to start stage two, Connor Zilisch, I believe, is up top. Or was this stage 3 that I'm thinking about here? It was... No,
I don't know. We were on a train.
We were on a train. We were doing our best. But I'm pretty sure it was... I know it was SVG, Connor Zilisch, and Austin Hill. Now, Austin Hill...
Yeah.
Austin Hill was looking pretty good. During practice especially, was looking really good. And the next thing you know, you just see Connor Zilisch and SVG, both the Red Bull cars, they're just completely destroyed. Austin Hill's just kind of over here just like, And I had a conspiracy moment. I had a tinfoil hat conspiracy. You know, what if Austin Hill was like, somebody's got to do it. And he took both of the guys out. He took both of them out right there. He said, someone else has got to win this street course, guys. And Austin Hill was like, I'm going to do it for everyone. And he turned, maybe that's like his way of trying to make everyone not be mad at him for all the crap that he's pulled over all the years.
Could be.
I don't think it's going to work. I still think everyone's going to probably think the same way about Austin Hill. But, you know, tinfoil conspiracy. Could be something there. Probably nothing, though. Don't listen to anything I say when it comes to that stuff. But unfortunate accident. Really sucked for Connor Zilisch. Hated it for SVG as well, because we all know, I think, that this was going to be a pretty legendary, historic race. If he won that, he basically ties Jeff Gordon for all-time road course wins. Can still do it in Sonoma this weekend if he does, you know, if everything goes right.
I will say it was cool to see Connor Zilisch up there. It was cool to see him lead some laps.
Yeah.
I do think there was a little bit of a chink in the armor of SVG in that first stage. I think he burned his rear tires off pretty quickly and fell back to third or fourth. I know he and Chris Buescher, he had an incredible highlight with
360
with Chris Buescher, spun Chris out on kind of like one of those straightaway bends that they have. And then Chris gets going. I mean, it could have been a track blocker where there could have been 20 cars piled in. SVG lifts, lets Chris right the ship, and then Chris just keeps going on and loses only 2 or 3 spots. It was pretty incredible. I think that gave a little bit of damage, but he was still fast. And you know what I've been noticing from SVG is that, first of all, he puts a lot of trust in his competitors.
Yes, he does.
He knows that these guys are really talented. He knows he knows in the heart of hearts that he is the best out there, but he respects his competitors. And I saw him make a lot of moves that were kind of like he could have shoved it 3 wide. He could have pushed the envelope, but he kind of backed out a little bit, including when he got crashed on that restart. He had a much better restart than the front row.
Oh.
He had 3 wide, could have just driven over there.
The run he had, instead of getting around Hill, he decided to go with Hill because he just was like, okay, well, if I've got this, he's got this.
Yep.
No, it doesn't work like that, SVG.
Yeah, but I'm impressed with his racecraft. Obviously, it's easy to see. It's easy to be impressed with SVG this year, but I thought it was pretty cool, some of the moves that he was making, and some of the trust that he puts in his competitors.
Yeah, the trust is the big one, and I think that's something he should talk about in in a press interview or something, just wherever he's speaking with the press again. I would love to be in the media center just to ask that question. I see you do these moves and these things. I just want to hear his response to that, because I feel like the more guys that hear that in the crowd, or maybe there's not enough Cup guys that understand just how much trust he does put into you on the track. But if you go back and watch film, you'll see it. It's right there. So if you're a good race car driver, you're going to be able to see that on that film, and you should know that. And for a guy like that to have that kind of faith, it should push these guys to be even better at these types of tracks.
100%.
So, and I think we're seeing a lot of that already this year. But yeah, once we got past that, we were just struggling to figure out, okay, well, now SVG's out of this race. Connor Zilisch is out. That's the two top guys that most people would lean on at a track like this. Maybe not so much Zilly this year, but SVG for sure. So it opened the floodgates for every team. And they were even saying on the broadcast, all these teams are wide-eyed now. They're like, okay, we have a shot to do this. So I wanted to look at some of the data during the race, and I got to looking at who were the best cars that were competing well in the corners with SVG. I was highly surprised to see Ryan Preece and Ryan Blaney be two guys that were matching SVG really well through that race in two Ford Mustangs, which Ford has not had the luster or the appreciation or the success that these other teams, Chevy and Toyota, have had in 2026. So that's a huge resurgence for them. Ultimately, they didn't come out with the win. You know, the strategy fell the way it did. You had some late race cautions there at the end that kind of shook some things up at the field. Heim and some of the Toyota guys were on the right strategy. That's why you had Tyler Reddick up there. And I have a very big feeling there was a lot of people that probably did not think Corey Heim was going to get around Tyler Reddick. I personally thought that this was going to be Tyler Reddick's race. Bubba Wallace is able to go from last to first essentially after losing a tire in the first stage. He had pace all day. 2311 just knew what they were doing, and it seems like they know what they're doing week in and week out with a team of very young engineers, very young pit crews, and it's wild to see. It's really wild to see this organization, especially when you look at an organization like JGR. Denny races there, but then you see what Denny's organization itself is doing. What's happening there?
Yeah, I think it shades their Furniture Row when Martin Truex was there in that 78 car, and they had the Gibbs Alliance, but they were kind of doing their own thing. Sometimes when you kind of get on your own little island, and yes, you do have the Alliance, and I don't think that they are doing what they are doing without that Alliance and the Toyota, and obviously the Toyotas are fast. I mean, even Legacy has proved that this year. But sometimes you get a little bit different perspective, and obviously things are clicking. We talk about the Jordan effect. We talk about Denny Hamlin being involved and bringing some of the stuff as a driver to his drivers. And he's been very open in talking about sharing data and sharing some of his, long, all the stuff that he's learned over the course of his career. I mean, I think that that's really important. I think that those guys are leaning on him a lot, and they've got something figured out. Riley Herbst was fast. He was up there in the top 5 for a little bit. He's been pretty good at these road courses, so shout out to him. He's kind of racing for his career right now. He doesn't have a ride for next year, so he's giving all he can, and it's very well documented that Bubba has struggled on road courses, and for him to be there and to be in the conversation to win this race, it was really cool. And I mean, I can't overstate enough how impressive it is for Corey Heim to do that. 12, 13 starts, something like that. A very green rookie, somebody who doesn't have a full-time ride this year in anything. So for him to kind of pop in and out of these different rides and take these things to victory lane, it shows that 2311, it made the right bet on him. And even Denny was talking about, there's some goals for Corey week in and week out. This was not even on the radar, especially for Coronado. And for him to do it, it was really cool. Blaney, I think, was probably the class of the field other than SVG, I think, early. And then, again, Zane Smith has continued to show up week in and week out, and to come to a track like this and compete and to lead laps. I believe he led a few laps this week, and to run top 5, really impressive by him for sure.
No, they've got something cooking over there at that 38 team. I will give them that. I can't wait to see how they perform the rest of the year. Ford just needs a big upswing right now, and I feel like maybe we're seeing a couple of guys in some really odd places be the ones to pick it up. If you would have told me Blaney would have been the only guy at Penske this year that would be kind of showing that pace, I may not be that surprised. But then when I'm looking at the other Ford teams and I'm like, well, we got Zane doing better than Joey Logano. We got, RFK. They've been kind of on the come up. We know Chris Buescher's won, road courses before. We know that Ryan Preece, he won the Clash. Brad's the only driver at RFK, I think, that as yet the last race he won was Darlington a couple years ago. So, it has to turn around at some point for Ford. And I think that we're seeing the beginning of that here and now. But with Corey Heim specifically, a question I have for you is, we all know that Denny we've announced Corey's going to be full-time next year. Denny's been flirting with the idea of retiring. Do you see a future where Denny Hamlin may be on the box with Corey Heim?
As a crew chief?
As a crew chief.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think that Denny... has the inclination to do that. I think once he gets done racing, I think he's going to focus on, owning the team, maybe doing some one-off races here and there, maybe doing some truck or rally stuff, and just being a family man. I don't think we see that. I really think that they have the personnel to be successful at 2311 already without, making any big changes. And we see that it's so difficult to go to these places with a fourth car. It's a fourth car. It's part-time guys. It's guys that are working in the shop pretty much week in and week out. Bootie Barker gets another Cup win. I mean, awesome to see there. But anytime, I don't care how big the organization is, when you have a fourth car and B, a fourth part-time car, it is so difficult to compete with these guys that are going week in and week out. And I can't overstate how impressive it is, not only for Corey Heim to do it as a rookie, but for that particular 67 team to do it as a part-time team. It goes to show the depth that they have at 2311.
Yeah, no, the knowledge is power for sure over there, and they've got a lot of it. They just got a lot of really bright minds in that building, and they all have one common goal, and they're after it. And I mean, that's what it takes. Personally, for me, I just think Denny makes a great coach. He's great at breaking the things down. He's great at understanding an environment. And just from listening to some of his podcasts, listening to him talk and break down races in the past, I feel like he's got everything that a great crew chief would need. And so it's what kind of made me lean in. Now, I could definitely see him maybe taking a year off to spend time with family. I don't think Denny's going to be able to stay away from the racetrack that long, though.
No, I don't think so. I don't think Denny's a year-off guy. I think, he'll slow down a little bit once he's done racing. And, I mean, I know Gibbs has been saying, especially, very recently, that they want to keep him. They're trying everything they can to get him extended through his contract. So it's going to be interesting what happens the next few years. I do think that one of the biggest assets that team has is Denny Hamlin, having that wealth of knowledge. And I really, truly think that that's going to be his role. Other than running the team, just being a wealth of knowledge for his drivers and his crew chiefs to continue that 2311 come up.
Yeah, there's so many different things that could happen in the future. I just had so many thoughts. One day we'll have to have one of those talks where we just spiral about what could happen and what is possible. But for now, kind of closing up a little bit, we'll talk a little IndyCar quickly, but did want to just kind of go over some of the funny things that I saw over this weekend. Number one, we put Corey Heim inside of a Humvee at the end of the race. So we paraded him around in a Humvee. He's like, here he is. It's Captain Corey. He's in a Humvee. You have to think that in NASCAR's mind, they were like, okay, they were doing the drawing boards for what this was going to look like, the storyboards. They had SVG in that Humvee. SVG was in that Humvee.
Totally.
When they were planning this out. And so, it didn't look the way. We got an alternate ending is what we got this weekend. So to see Corey Heim, first-time winner in a Humvee, Heim's Humvee.
Heim's Humvee.
A Humvee Heim. You can make a shirt about it, put him in a Captain Corey outfit. He's got to win more races. We've got to see Corey Heim win more races. He was looking good at Texas this year. I don't know if you remember the Texas race where he was in the Robin Hood car.
Oh, yeah.
He was looking good out yonder. Kansas? Was it Kansas or Texas?
He has looked good, a lot this year in that 67 car.
I think he's just coming into his own. He's one of those guys that he just arrived. He just arrived and he was ready. You didn't know a lot about him.
My favorite thing about him winning?
What's that?
Was the banter between him and Carson Hocevar.
Oh God, yeah.
He kind of, he did get into Carson and spun him out. Carson had a shot to win. He was in the conversation. And what happened on Twitter was somebody asked him about spinning Carson out, and he literally reposted a video from Carson Hocevar saying, just get the F out of the way. You won't be wrecked.
Yeah.
And you see Carson repost and then tweet, I guess it's the Dexter. It was Dexter that was
Morgan.
Sitting there. This is a budding rivalry.
Yes.
Between two guys that are incredibly talented, probably two of the most talented guys that are the young guys. I mean, this could be the next rivalry that we see.
And Carson's got that like sarcastic, like piercing of your soul type of like way about him. Like you can tell that like he knows how to push buttons when he wants to.
Oh yeah.
So apparently he got Corey's phone number from Denny.
I saw that.
Denny gave the phone number to Corey. I can only imagine what he was texting Corey Heim.
Oh.
I want to see what those messages are.
We want to see the screenshot. Drop the
Corey,
screenshots, guys.
Corey Heim, show us what he texts you. I want to read it, and so does everyone else. Please do.
The best part about that is Denny had no idea that Corey had spun Carson out.
Right.
So when
congratulations.
When he reached out to Denny to get his phone number, Denny's like, "Oh, that's cool. He's gonna congratulate Corey."
Yeah, no, there's not gonna be any congratulations. Carson Hocevar, he congratulates himself in the mirror when he wins, dude. That's the way he rolls, baby. That's Hocevar, and it was a Hocevar fan that was like clapping at Corey. And Corey did that, so I thought it was great. By the way, if you don't know who Dexter is, Dexter Morgan plays a dude that works for the cops but is also a serial killer. So if that puts in your mind where Carson Hocevar is coming from, that'll tell you like there's some sinister things going on with old Hocevar. He's got something going on up here. He's plotting, he's planning. Definitely look out for a dive bomb from him to Corey Heim at some point, more than likely. But I do like that Corey was just like straight up with it. He's like, you talk about this all the time. Hey, I'll do it too. Like, let's go. Everyone thought Ty Gibbs and Carson Hocevar was going to be something. No, it's the Corey Heim Carson Hocevar rivalry, and we need more of these to brew. Another rivalry that happened that came out of the blue this weekend. A lot of people may or may not have seen Noah Gragson and Kevin Magnussen. Ex-Formula One driver Kevin Magnussen and Noah Gragson got into a verbal argument after the race where Noah approached him and basically asked him, what was that all about? And all Kevin Magnussen could say was, get the F out of my face, constantly. And then Kevin went into an interview after that, doubled down by just like, well, this is NASCAR, and this is what we do in NASCAR. How does that make you feel as a NASCAR driver, hearing an ex-F1 driver say something like, well, this is just what you do in NASCAR. This is a part of the show. This is just how the show goes. That's what Kevin Magnussen thinks.
Yeah, I will say that any F1 driver and really any open wheel driver that comes over to NASCAR and does some of these one-off events, they find out real quick what NASCAR is all about, and it is full body. It is just go, go, go. I saw it happen with Joey Hand. I was racing at the Roval one time with Rick Ware Racing, and Joey Hand came over and was racing for us. And I mean, incredible road course driver, sports car driver, IMSA driver, and it was his first race, and we were on the gas, and I bumped him out of the way. And I'm not a road course guy, but he was like, oh, these guys are like on it. And of course, he came and passed, and I think he ended up finishing top 20. He figured it out. But these guys that come over, Kevin Magnussen and Jensen Button and, Denny Kvyat, like some of these guys come over here, and it's like, hey, this is real racing. This is, full body, fender, beating and banging, Rubbins racing. I mean, it's real deal. And I don't know if he liked that very much. And the biggest thing for me is that when these guys come over, first of all, I love when they come over. I love when a guy like Kevin Magnussen, ex-F1 driver, very talented racer, comes over and does these one-off things. I think we need it more. I think that's what Justin Marks, his vision for Project 91 is to get guys like this to come over here and do it. At the same time, you also have to respect these full-time guys that are racing for their lives, racing for points. And I don't know the whole story. I saw some of the stuff back and forth. To me, it just looked like close quarters, hard-nosed Coronado, Navy Base, road course racing, street course racing. And obviously Noah was like, what the heck's going on? And Kevin's like, get out of here. I think there probably should have been a little bit more dialogue about what was actually happening. I think Kevin was a little bit more dismissive than he should have been. But kudos to Noah for coming over here and sticking up for himself and talking to him. And I do want to say it was kind of cool to see Kevin Magnussen. He did have the fastest lap
He did.
of the race. So for him to jump in that car, and he even said it in his post-race, if I could start the race how I finished and everything, he basically said at the end of the race, I finally figured out the car. Basically took him the entire race to figure it out. I hope he comes back and does it, but there definitely needs to be some mutual respect.
I think that we'll continue to see him and probably a lot more guys come through that 91, the Trackhouse program that they have. You're absolutely correct. That's what Justin Marks wants. We want to bring over more of these large players that are all around the world to get more of a world audience paying attention to NASCAR. That's always the way it's worked in my mind. But yeah, I definitely feel like we could have used more context. It's almost like Kevin Magnussen saw that one scene with Jean Girard and Ricky Bobby yelling and fighting, and he was like, "Oh, we're just playing that. We're playing."
Yeah.
I think Kevin Magnussen thought that Noah was just playing with him. I think that because the way he said it, he was like, "Oh, it's just NASCAR. That's the show. That's the show." So it would have been even more hilarious if he actually would have gotten punched in the face, because then he would quickly realize, like, "Oh wow, this is not a show. This is real. This kid is pissed." And who knows what would have happened after that. I'm glad it didn't get there, because now I do think we get K-Mag back, and I want a K-Mag Noah G rivalry. Okay, I want to continue to let that, flourish a little bit. I want to see Noah get angry at European race car drivers just because it's Noah Gragson getting angry at European race car drivers.
Yep.
That just sounds like a great thing to watch on a late night, like on a Tuesday. You got some popcorn, you're winding down. Let's watch Noah Gragson yell at European race car drivers.
Perfect.
So that was Cup. And quickly going to just touch on IndyCar real quick. I know that this was one of the races you and I both did not get to pay attention to, unfortunately, this weekend. However, I feel like I should give everyone that's listening to RACESPACE, the Roadcast edition, a quick little rundown of what went down in IndyCar. Christian Lundgaard wins this race at Road America. By the way, fantastic track. If you got to watch some practice qualifying or the race itself, it's just beautiful to watch that track. It's beautiful to watch the IndyCar, the open wheel, the onboards, the way that the track moves. Just a very beautiful thing to watch. There were a lot of fans complaining about the commercials and everything. That's just IndyCar fans getting used to, some things that maybe some NASCAR fans have said and talked about for a little while. However, got to pay the bills, is what it is. I don't think it takes too much away from the race, especially when you have PIP. PIP exists everywhere now, so it's okay. I will say that the way that Christian Lundgaard won this race was probably the craziest of all. He went last after he wrecked on lap 1 and then was able to go from last to first and win this race, which is a very hard feat to do in IndyCar. It didn't happen. It happened, though, because of some things that were going down at the end of that race. A lot of people were upset about Marcus Ericsson. Honda even came out and apologized because his engine failed him with 5 to go. He would have been the clear winner of that race and would have gotten his first IndyCar victory if he would have just gotten there, but it was the engine failure on Honda's part. We've seen this happen a couple of times this year, especially with like Scott Dixon. He has a lot of these hybrid failures. I don't know 100% on my notes that I have here what the real reason was, but if I had to imagine, it may have something to do with the problems we have been seeing where the hybrid is affecting the actual combustion engine. So we'll figure that out. But the other parts of this was Will Power getting a podium. That's good for Will Power. However, Graham Rahal was upset.
Not good for Graham Rahal.
Yeah, so you got to watch a little bit of this one too. Will Power, it's no surprise. Will Power's been really itching to get a podium, itching to get a win with his new team Andretti. Some people are saying he got a little impatient. He turned Graham right there on the last lap. Will says it was just an accident, just a racing deal. Graham says it wasn't. You be the judge. I don't know. What would you say? You saw it.
It did look like, first of all, I thought that Rahal had third place sewed up. I think something happened to Will Power. He ended up going off, or there was something that transpired, and he was in podium position, and he went back a spot or two. And then the rally that he had to get back to Rahal was impressive because we saw, I mean, you were telling me, hey, Will Power got a podium when we were watching some of the highlights. And I was like, how? Because he wasn't even at the carousel yet. And he was like way far back from Rahal. And the drive that he had to make to get to him, to get to Rahal going into Canada Corner was impressive. And then when we got to Canada Corner, Rahal looked like he moved under braking. And Will was kind of there. He was ready for the crossover. And so I think, I mean, just outside looking in, it kind of looked like Rahal just kind of faded over and kind of turned himself off of Will Power's nose. And Will Power goes off and gets the podium. So kind of a racing deal, but just didn't work out for Graham.
Hey, just happy for Will. Graham has gotten more podiums this year than he has in a long time. So taking in stride, I get that people can be upset, but good to see Will Power get a podium. Also shared it with the guy that took his seat at Penske, Dave Malukas, finishing this race second. He had an insane pass where he got off in the gravel to take the lead at one point of that race that I saw, and he called it the R Farm Pass.
They must not do track limits at Road America.
There is no track limits in IndyCar, but this is American open wheel thrills.
I love it.
That's how we roll. So shout out to IndyCar for not having track limits. Never do that, ever. We love you. But yeah, those were kind of the big stories of that race, and there's probably a lot more that happened over the weekend. I did see where last year Louis Foster shaved his mustache off. They did a charity event. They always have a lot of people rallying out, like on Thursday at Road America. This year, instead of Louis Foster shaving his mustache off, though, Louis Foster made James Hinchcliffe shave his beard. And instead of completely shaving the beard off, he left a handlebar on James Hinchcliffe's face. So we got Handlebar Hinchcliffe, and I hope Handlebar Hinchcliffe sticks around. I didn't get to watch the broadcast of the IndyCar race, so I don't know if he already shaved it off or not. James, if you've shaved it off, I'm going to be upset. You need to be Handlebar Hinchcliffe for at least a month. At least a month minimum. If you follow James Hinchcliffe on any social media and you're a RACESPACE fan, tag him, tell him Handlebar Hinchcliffe at least a month. At least a month.
I got to say, Road America is my favorite road course in the country, maybe the world. I hope that NASCAR returns, but really cool to see that IndyCar is still going.
Yeah, all IndyCar will be at Road America, I feel like, for years to come. Just great open-wheel thrills in America. That's where you can get it. And then I know this weekend, NASCAR, Sonoma. Okay, we're here. We have trucks at Sonoma.
Do we have? I don't. Maybe.
I don't have my phone. I can't look at my schedule or my laptop. But I know we have racing in Sonoma this weekend. TNT is back. TNT knows drama. All right, they're back. So Prime is over. Don't cry. But it was a good run. NASCAR on Prime did a great job. Fantastic broadcast, by the way, for all weekend long.
Incredible.
Cup Series was phenomenal. They're literally inside of the Navy ship.
They were inside of the aircraft carrier calling the race. That was cool. I know that they talked about it beforehand, and I thought it was just kind of like, oh yeah, they're going to be up there and do stuff. No, that was where the broadcast booth was.
Yeah, no green screens. They look, it's Junior. He's going to be at the track. All right, that's the way he wants it. So that was phenomenal, but we'll have TNT. The bracket challenge is going to be beginning.
Yep.
We're going to get all into the bracket challenge next week when we return back to North Carolina. We'll be back in the RACESPACE studio, so you'll have some updates on the brackets. Let us know who's going to be in your bracket this week. Comment on YouTube. Get on Spotify. Drop some comments here. And then I think we have IndyCar racing at Nashville.
Ooh.
If I'm not mistaken, this weekend. It's either this weekend or next weekend, but I know it's going to be a follow-up to a World Cup game. So that's going to be really good for IndyCar. Make sure you watch some IndyCar racing, some NASCAR racing, any American motorsports, essentially. It's been a very American weekend for us, I know, in San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to continue our West Coast swing on the road. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to follow RACESPACE Podcast on all social media at RACESPACE Pod. And you can follow me at Chase Holden or at Garage Guy Chase. And you can follow Garrett at Garrett Smithley. And now I'm going to start pressing buttons as you continue to drive. And
Okay.
This has been the RACESPACE Roadcast.
Go USA.
America.
Big game on Thursday. World Cup. USA. USA.
USA. USA.